guys. How are you today? I hope you're having a really good day and you're staying warm in these cold days. Hey, I just wanted to play a game with you again and tell you a story and give you a project to do. And I hope that you're having fun doing these things with your families. I do miss seeing your faces though. So on your screen right now, you should see a game that's called Spot the Difference. And so what's going to happen is you see this picture. It's a picture. I was getting ready to get dressed and I was laying my clothes out. It's a picture of what I was going to wear. Now, in every picture after this that I show you, something's going to be different. Something's going to be changed. And I want you to see if you can figure it out. Are you ready? Study that picture so you can see the things that are different. Here we go. Do you see it? What's different? You're right. It's that hat. The first picture didn't have a hat. All right, let's try it again. What's different? This one's a little trickier. Can you find it? That's right. I put a necklace on this time. All right, let's try the next one. What's different in this one? You're right. I decided to put my favorite Kansas City Chiefs socks with it. All right, let's try another one. Look closely. You're right. I was trying a different pair of shoes this time. All right, one last one. Can you see what was different? That's right. I put a belt on this time. The reason that I chose to put a belt on this time was because that has something to do with our story. This week in our story, we're hearing about Paul again. Remember, Paul and his friends were traveling all over the place telling people about Jesus. They were going all over the place and finding out new people and teaching new people to learn to love God and love Jesus. Well, today our story is found in Acts chapter 21, starting in verse 8. Paul and his friends were sharing about Jesus just like they had been. Everywhere they went, they found people that loved Jesus, and they would stay in their homes and they would talk with them and teach them and learn more about, or teach them more about who God was. But also in towns that they went to, they found people who didn't love God and didn't love Jesus and were kind of afraid of what Paul and his friends were doing. Well, they were getting ready to make a trip to Jerusalem where they were going to tell people about Jesus. And the Bible tells us that one of their friends named Agabus came to warn Paul that the people in Jerusalem were not going to treat him kindly. In fact, he took Paul's belt and he tied his hands together with Paul's belt. And he tied his feet together with Paul's belt. And he said that he had heard from God that Paul was not going to be treated well in Jerusalem, that they were going to tie his hands together and tie his feet together and put him in prison because he was telling people about Jesus. When Paul's friends heard this, they said, Paul, please don't go. Please don't go to Jerusalem. Let's tell these other people about Jesus. We don't have to go to Jerusalem. But Paul said, why are you crying? Why are you afraid? Why are you worried? I'm not worried. This is what God has told me to do. And if God has told me to do it, I'm going to obey. And pretty soon Paul's friends said, well, then we'll obey too. So soon Paul and his friends left and began their journey for Jerusalem. When he was there, just like in most towns, he went to the temple and began to teach people. This is a special place where people would come and pray to God and learn about God. And so he went there and he started teaching about God. Some people wanted to hear and some people were angry. They didn't believe what Paul was saying. And so they went and they got some of the rulers and they said, this man does not obey God's laws. This man is making everyone wonder what's going on. This man is not telling the truth. And when the soldiers heard this, they came and they put chains on Paul's hands, just like Agabus had said. And when the leader of the soldiers came, he said, "Who is this man? What has he done?" Everyone shouted at the same time. The crowd got louder and louder and louder. And Paul quietly said, "May I talk to the people?" And the leader said, "Yes, you may talk." And so Paul said, "Shh." Everyone in the crowd became quiet. And he told his story. He said, "I'm Paul. I used to be Saul. I used to not love God. I used to hurt people who loved God. But then I learned about who Jesus was. And now I love Jesus and I obey Jesus. God has told me to tell others about Jesus. Jesus is God's Son. Jesus is God's Son. And I'm going to do what God has told me to do." You know, that was kind of a tough situation for Paul. He was asked to go somewhere where people weren't happy with him. But he was able to be strong because God made him strong. He was able to obey God because God made him strong. You know, the Bible tells us that we can do all things because God gives us strength. And one of the things that God gives us strength for is to obey him. We can obey God even when it's hard because he gives us strength. Let's pray about that together. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for this story of Paul, and we've heard him go lots and lots of places and tell lots of people about you. God, thank you for making him strong even when it was hard. And God, please help make us strong. Help us be able to obey you even when it's hard. Amen. So today I want you to make something for me. I want you to draw your best picture of you being strong, or maybe even show me your strong pose and have Mom or Dad take a picture of you and put it right here in the middle of this paper. And then the bottom of this says somebody's strong, because around the picture we made some bugs just for fun, just to make our picture colorful, but to remind us that we can be strong in God. So let me show you how to make these little bugs. Get some markers. Hopefully you've got some washable kind, but the others will work too. They just don't wash off as well. Let Mom or Dad help you and just color right here on the tip of your finger, and then press that finger right here on your picture. And after it dries, then you can draw some little legs or a little face on that and make some different bugs around your picture to remind you that we can be strong because God makes us strong. And he doesn't make us strong in our muscles necessarily. He makes us strong in our willingness and our obedience to him. Guys, have a great week. Obey Mom and Dad. Obey Jesus. Tell others about Jesus, and I'll see you next week. Love you.